Who starred in that movie, The Vikings?
Tony Curtis.
So as we're both educators, and I see the things that you've accomplished, one of the most difficult things that students that come in to study jazz or to study music, the least tangible thing is what you do all the time, connect with an audience. Because it's like you say it all the time, I drop my hands and I see the audience relax. How do you explain that? How do you teach that? How do you describe that to people?
Well, you can't exactly teach that, but I think I do know what constitutes that. And I say this in lectures all the time. You can't go out on stage with the desire to turn the audience on. You have to go out on stage with the desire to turn yourself on. This music's about your own inner urges. If you don't satisfy your inner urges, then you're not going to be in touch with the real stuff that you're about. So the greatest players are really just going after what makes them. It's like they're kind of pleasuring themselves or torturing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely aiming towards what turns them on in whatever terms. It could be what turns them on sexually, it could be terms of what turns them on sensually, or it could be what lights them up spiritually. So I go out there with the intention of filling myself up with that light and whatever that will mean that day. If you light up on stage, that's what lights up a room. All the souls in the room start vibrating if the soul on stage is vibrating.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I tell them. If you go out there with the intention of either impress, you can go out and impress. And there are people who do it, and I can't say it's not a good thing. A lot of people make a great career out of just impressing. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in an experience that transcends music in myself. And if I find that, it seems that the audience follows along with me. And I am definitely a people person. So I play better when there's an audience because I feel them buzzing with me. And now I feel like I can take them where I want. But first, it happens only if I turn myself on. And that's what I tell the students.
Now, that in mind, can you think of any extra special experiences that you've had in performance, either by yourself or with another group of musicians?
Well, many, unfortunately. Many times I've gone out there, and I don't know if I can tell you the gig, but all of a sudden I realized I was totally out of it. I'm watching my hands. And at the same time, my hands are, if I've been playing 4 or 5 nights in a row, there's another level that comes out of me that doesn't come out if I haven't been on the road. You know, I have to go on the road to play. And it starts to come out, and I'm watching my hands, and I'm going, wow, this is really neat. And sometimes, a couple of times, it got so good, I looked at Johann and said, did we make a deal with the devil or something? What the heck is this? You know, I've had a numerous experience. That was a gig in California, I think, at the bakery. And my hands were just, they were moving as free as if I was just doing this, but they were playing very specific stuff.
And at that point, were you thinking of time or form or chords or?
No, because that was all just happening. All I felt is that if I threw my hand out here, it would make perfect music. You know, that is stuff you could write down. And that's something I might like to mention. One of the things that started to focus my music, many years ago, well, not many years ago, probably in the 90s, I used to go to a spiritual retreat. And I sometimes would spend some days there. And at this place, there's a lot of what they call Shakti, this spiritual energy. I mean, you do start to feel different. And one morning I wake up and with this phrase in my head, composition as yet unwritten. I went, what is that? And this place, when you had thoughts and things like that, they tended to be stronger. I contemplated this all day. And then I had an image of it. And it was like you see this blue sky, and then this scroll, it was almost like Harry Potter or something, this scroll emerges from nowhere. And what comes out is reams of paper of perfectly written music. But it just comes from nowhere. Composition as yet unwritten. As I contemplated that, I realized that there was going to be a paradigm shift in my motivation for playing. Instead of taking great solos, I was moving towards improvising in a way that you could write down, that would sound like it was composed, but it was just coming out of the moment. I wanted to move from individual achievement of solo and burning and all that kind of stuff to the way we play together sounds like it was a written ensemble piece or a chamber group. And my playing definitely took a turn then. I became much more aware of what had the compositional elements, yet without having to try to make it compositional. Because if that was the case, then I would have to abandon it. Trying to make your music something is what makes it unspecial, and in the worst case, makes it lose its groove.
Mm-hmm.
But I found myself drawn to ideas that can't, it's just like as if it was just written down. And after that epiphany, the direction of my playing changed.
Mm. Well, it's interesting too. There's a famous Charlie Parker quote where he says, "Learn everything about harmony and theory and rhythm, and then forget about it and just play."
Well, it's one of the truest statements. Some people forget about it or don't bother to learn it and just play. And if they're enjoying it, fine. I never think there's a should do it. Music. Some people say you should play this or you should swing. That's ridiculous. Something you should do is get out of music. You really should do that. But if you're going to play music, the joy of it is that there's no shoulds.
Mm-hmm.
You should not should on yourself.